Here are the fundamental 3 submissions: the armbar, the triangle, and the omoplata. These are 3 submissions I've used throughout my MMA career, and I'm here to show you guys how it's done. I'm a UFC vet, I have a 3rd degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. Let's get into the technique. All right, number 1, let's go over the armbar. I've landed this in my 4th pro fight. So the setup is important. When you're starting with your setup, you want to start to control your opponent's body. So I like double that wrist control. It's especially useful, especially when they have MMA gloves on, because you kind of catch near the end of the gloves. But even without the gloves on, you're still going to hold those wrist bones. So we're here, both feet are up on the hips, and we're going to use those feet on the hips to help us pivot out to the side. So I want to generate some energy by kicking down. My head is going to follow the path of my legs here, boom, and then I throw that leg over at the very end here. And now I'm gonna double up the wrist, both heels down to the mat, pinch your knees together and bridge your hips. That's how you're gonna get the finish. This is a little bit of a quicker armbar. It's called an ambush style. So when we're here, we're just double wrist control, we're gonna open, and now I'm gonna swing the leg over immediately, boom, and then I'm gonna go right to the finish. So it's a fast, quick style armbar. All right, number 2, if your opponent pulls the arm out, so I'm going for an armbar, the arm you're trying to track, they pull this out. If they pull that arm out, we're then gonna attack their secondary arm here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer this to the inside hip, and then I'm gonna use my legs to generate a little bit of energy. I'm gonna roll up, kick them down, putting all the weight on my opponent's shoulder. I roll up, kick down, boom. And so now here, I wanna make sure I make it as heavy as possible on his shoulder. So my outside leg goes on top, adding that entire weight of my left leg. And now, if he is up on his knees, we need to break them down. I need to get my opponent flat. So I control the hip, control the lat muscle. I'm gonna open up my legs, making sure I don't lose control of the elbow, because if I open the legs and he pulls his arm out, boom, you've lost the omoplata. So when you do decide to open up the legs to give yourself mobility, I do want to control the arm. So now with your feet, that they're mobile, I'm going to start to circle, just like the hands of a clock, and I pull, 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 I break them down. Now I make the final adjustment with my feet, heel to the knee, posting the hand, elevate your hips up, look in the ear, get the finish. All right, number 3, they're gonna defend the omoplata by posturing up. As they start to posture, I slow them down by making my legs nice and heavy. I bring it over top of his head, and then I'm shooting my other leg all the way over. Right where your hamstring is behind the knee, we want that nice and tight against his carotid artery. We don't want them to continue to posture, so immediately I grab my shin to break their posture. If he tries to posture up now, he's gotta battle the bar behind his head. I'm gonna use my foot on the hip or the floor to help me pivot and adjust the angle of my triangle. From here, I'm gonna put back of my knee directly on top of my ankle, and I'm cinching it down. I'm gonna squeeze my knees together, bridge my hips up to the sky, and pull the head down to get the finish. Now I wanna talk about the link between the triangle, the armbar, and the omoplata. You can go back and forth with either one of these. For example, if I'm going for an armbar, so I go for the armbar, boom, he pulls out. We already went over the transition to go for an omoplata submission. Another transition, if you go for the armbar again here, instead of going for the omoplata, he pulls this out, I'm gonna then attack a triangle here. So just because he pulls out of the armbar doesn't mean you have to go for an omoplata necessarily. You can transition to an armbar as well. And these 3 techniques, they go back and forth. Another example is if I'm going to hit an omoplata here and he starts to defend by posturing up, I could transition to that triangle. Within the triangle, I still have the ability to attack the arm on the inside. I can still double it up, elbows in, bridge your hips, squeeze your knees together, and get the finish for the armbar in the triangle position. So there's a strong link between the armbar, the triangle, and the omoplata. Play around with it, let me know what you guys think. These 3 submissions, the armbar, the triangle, and the omoplata, these submissions I still use today. I use them all the time in training, and I use them throughout my UFC career. So if you haven't familiarized yourself with all of these 3 and the links between them, play around in training. See how the armbar is connected to the triangle, how the triangle is connected to the omoplata, and try the transitions back and forth. Because when you start fighting more advanced people, those transitions are going to be the difference between you winning the fight and losing the fight. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and check out this next video if you want to know more about fundamental submissions. Take your time. Here are the 3 fundamental blah, blah.